I never tire of that opening. It is so good. And
it so cracks me up.
Yep. The woman in the background needs an introduction to only about 14% of my audience.
Wow.
That's right. It is Alison Armstrong. She comes on, the only regular guest on the Male-Female Hour, every season. That is every 3 months. Even if you're living in the part of the country that has no seasons, she still comes on every season. Alison Armstrong is brilliant. Alison Armstrong has one of the rarest of gifts, an original mind. At a young age, she decided to try to understand men. And she does. That's a big achievement. And I would like to promote what you do. So is there a website that you'd like people to visit?
Understandmen.com.
Understandmen.com. It is also up at DennisPrager.com if you forget to understand men. All right, Alison Armstrong. In fact, I have such faith in her mind that she, 99% of the time, chooses the topic of the Male-Female Hour. Today is one of those 99%. What is on thine mind, Alison Armstrong?
What is on my mind is manipulation. Why we do it, how we do it, and how it affects our relationships. It's a killer. It's a WMD of relationships.
Wow. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a really big deal.
All right, so obviously everybody listening, including me, is thinking, gee, how do I manipulate my wife? I can't come up with any example. And then I think, how does she manipulate me? And then I can come up with 200 or 300 examples. That was a joke. I am in the great position of being able to rib my wife. I can't think of one there either. But anyway, that's why it's why I want to hear some examples, and of course, what you mean by manipulate.
Okay. Well, I'm not surprised that it's hard for you to think it up, right, with you and Sue, because in a healthy relationship, in a relationship that is in an upward spiral instead of downward spiral, you've developed a trust that your partner wants you to have what you need, and that they understand you want them to have what they need, and all you have to do is ask and maybe describe what it would look like. And if it doesn't make sense to them, maybe tell them what it would provide for you. And often the only hitch is when. Like, when someone needs it may not be the same when that someone can provide it. And that's good. That's where we want to be. But unfortunately, most relationships are in a downward spiral because the problem is we need things from each other, and often they're different. What men need from women is different than what women need from men. And we project on to the opposite sex that if they really wanted me to have what I needed, they'd already be giving it to me. And I shouldn't have to ask. And then on top of that, asking, incredibly exposed, because to need anything in the first place seems like a weakness. And so everyone, men and women, the first thing that we do when we find out we need something is we figure out how to provide it for ourselves so that we don't have to ask. And we only ask when we can't provide it for ourselves and can't get rid of needing that thing or get over needing that thing. And if we've decided that the person we need it from doesn't want to give it to us, like I'd made this decision in my first marriage that he either didn't care what I needed or he was purposely withholding it. So if we have that consideration there that they don't want to give us what we need, which is really, really, really common consideration, then we approach that person with the attitude already, I have to overcome a no. That they're going to say no to me, and I need to be prepared to overcome that no. Do you want to say anything before I keep going?
Yes. So it's totally clear, and obviously you're leading to the subject of manipulation, because thus far that has not appeared, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Until you assume that they're a no. When you assume that they're a yes, then you're just like, hey, honey, would you do this for me? But once you assume that they have resistance on their side, then we prepare, we strategize. And you probably heard me say before, the definition of strategy is to move yourself into the best possible position before engaging with the enemy. And that's what we do. We come to our boyfriend, our girlfriend, our wife, our husband, even our parents, even our children. And we come with a strategy to overcome the no that we're assuming. And everybody does it differently. We call it your shtick, which, of course, you would know is Yiddish for comedy routine. And in our partnership work, one of the things that we work on is actually having people be so sensitive to the energy of manipulation and understand where it's coming from that when someone's attempting to manipulate them, they actually find it humorous. Like, interesting shtick you got there. And everybody's shtick has, like, steps to it. Like, it starts a certain place, and if that doesn't work, then they change or add something else. And when I distinguished my own manipulative routine a couple of years ago, and the first thing I did was came and told Greg about it, and I realized in the telling him of it that one of the things I love about him and why our relationship has worked now for 27 years is that he doesn't get offended by my manipulative routine. He just kind of watches it. Just kind of like, But he also doesn't get manipulated by it, which is one of the reasons I respect him. And that's part of the problem with manipulation is that if we're not successful, we're upset and frustrated. And if we are successful, we lose respect for the person who let us manipulate them.
Wow, that's a catch-22.
Yeah. That's why, either way, it's deadly. Losing
so
respect.
So the only solution is to be in a relationship where you don't have to manipulate because you're getting what you need. Am I reading you correctly?
Well, that would be an ideal situation. The real solution is checking yourself. Have I already literally pictured, have I hallucinated that this person's going to say no and I'm preparing to overcome it? What if they're not going to say no? What if they actually could say yes if I gave them a chance to say yes? And that's the tricky thing because manipulation can succeed, and often does, in getting what I call a fake yes. So people who are really good at manipulation also think that you can't count on people because they'll do their manipulative routine to get a yes, but the person gives the yes in order to escape the manipulative routine because it's so gross. And then when they're away from that person, they do what they always intended to do, which was nothing. So you get a fake yes, but in the world of action, the world of reality, you get no action. And so these folks think that other people are flaky, that they can't be counted on, that they can't be trusted, when really they created it by getting a fake yes through manipulation instead of a real yes, which those are amazing.
All right. So when we come back, I think everybody has followed you, but we need examples of what is it that people need that they're not getting as a general rule and therefore manipulate. Get an example of manipulation and an example of success at not having to manipulate. I'm speaking with Alison Armstrong, understandmen.com. This is the Male-Female Hour, the second hour every Wednesday on the Dennis Prager Show. The Male-Female Hour takes place every Wednesday on my show. I'm Dennis Prager. A very, very honest talk about men and women. As I didn't go through my usual routine opening up the hour, and that is that I am not a man fan or a woman fan. I'm a good person fan, and I'm a fan of good relationships. So I'm a good moderator because I think both sexes have beautiful and awful people, probably in equal numbers. Alison Armstrong is brilliant and has devoted much of her life I was going to say her whole life, but that wouldn't be accurate. Much of her life to understanding men and women, and particularly men. She has done a magnificent job. It is not easy to understand either sex, either your own or the other, and especially the other. So today's topic that she chooses the topic when she comes on, which is a great accolade on her behalf, is manipulation. And people manipulate their significant other, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend. They do so. I'm repeating you. I always do that to make sure I have it clear and to help my audience make sure they have it clear. So people manipulate the other because they're not getting what they need, and they haven't. Now, I'll add this in case you didn't, but you might have. The assumption is that they have not spelled out what they need to their spouse, or they did and got a no. Which one, or is it both?
Or they did with timing that didn't take into consideration how the opposite sex thinks. And so they either got, there's a kind of yes you can get from a man by asking him for something when he's focused on something else, and they go, okay. And he actually didn't even hear you.
And what about the reverse? Are men too proud to say what they need?
I wouldn't say it's pride. There is the instinct to conceal all weaknesses and attachments, anything that can be used against you, is incredibly strong. And so I don't think it's too proud. I think it's instinct, and so we call it a victory of human spirit for a man to say, I need.
Is that so? He is loath to say that to his wife or girlfriend, and is she more willing than he to say, I am not getting what I need?
Well, they're different, and I did do what you asked, by the way, just so you know. I loved that you gave me an assignment before the break. So I have a need, I have a how we manipulate, and I have what it is out.
I love it.
But, yeah, in general, men think they shouldn't need anything, and are always, the value is always to be self-sufficient, and just don't need anything. Do everything you can on your own gas, on your own wheels, you know. And for women, what's more likely is the assumption that you know what I need and you're intentionally not doing it. So to ask you for it is just going to reveal my vulnerability and how hurt and upset I am already.
Right.
So there's the assumptions are huge. And so when a woman does reveal a need, and it's often the case with the man, too, we don't do it until we're really angry. We don't do it when we first notice, and they're like, hey, I need this. We do it when we've gone without it for weeks or months or years, and we're finally we just blow our tops. And I believe that happens because at that point, the anger about not getting what you need is a bigger emotion than the fear of revealing that you need it. So the anger overcomes the need to conceal, but it's terrible. It taints it forever. It does not help your partners to give you what you need.
What doesn't help?
The emotion that gets added when we wait too long to tell them.
Right. So give an example of each of a need that would be typically not fulfilled.
So everybody needs support, right? The only way to avoid needing support is to keep your life really small. And people do that. They'll keep their life small enough that they can be completely self-sufficient. But if you take on, for example, a business or a family, anything that you're passionate about in life, you're probably going to need support. And what that looks like is different for everybody. And that causes a lot of problems because we'll project onto another person what support would look like. And we'll provide for someone we love the support we think they would need if they were just like me. And then often we get rebuffed. And then when we're asked, we might get asked for the support they really do need. Like, the support they need may be, leave me alone. When I'm in this state or when I'm working on this thing, please just leave me alone. That's the best way to support me. What? Right? And so being left alone is a kind of support. Being provided with tools. What are the tools that you need or the information that you need? Just doing a simple errand, make me a meal. Greg cooked for me this morning. God bless him. It's often just really simple daily things, or it can be just encouragement. I believe in you. I believe in you is can be amazing support. Can you imagine how exposed we would feel to ask her that? Can you please just tell me you believe in me? So that would be an example of a need that is really prevalent. Does that make sense?
Totally. Okay.
And then how we manipulate, we've broken this down. The course I led last week, and we actually have people practice their manipulative routine so that when they do it in real life, it's not unconscious. They can actually realize they're doing it and that they're trashing their partnership in this moment. But a classic, especially for women, is what I would call historical precedent. So a woman will make a case for, you owe me this because of everything I've done for you, everything I've sacrificed for you, all the promises you've broken, all the times that you've hurt me, and every man before you, thinking that if you pile that that history high enough that it has this, mass of motivation, not knowing that it's actually demotivating. Just tell me what you need. Could you just cut to I need? Because the people who care about us, we care about what each other needs. We want you to have what you need. You're a better person when you have what you need.
Right.
Just tell me.
So when we come back, an example of how we manipulate if we don't get it. I can say, usually I say I'm talking with, but in Alison Armstrong's case, it is more I am listening to. We shall be back in a moment. This is the Male-Female Hour on the Dennis Prager Show. Hi, everybody. You're listening to the Dennis Prager Show. This is the Male-Female Hour every Wednesday, second hour. And 4 times a year, I have Alison Armstrong on, understandmen.com, or it's up at dennisprager.com. You can go straight from there. All right, today's subject is manipulation. You don't get what you need, so you manipulate in order to get it. And we spoke about the needs. Now, give me an example of manipulation.
Well, so we talked about historical precedent, for example, right? And then you asked, so then how do we manipulate if it doesn't work, right? So let's say a woman tries, this whole case, making a case for why you owe me this. And then if somebody doesn't respond to that, so doesn't say yes, one of the things that she'll do is she'll add emotion. And she'll usually add just being upset. And this is one of the places where men's and women's instincts really just crash into each other, because getting upset works with women. Our instincts, we're peacekeepers. We do not want anybody to be upset, and we will do something in order to not upset somebody. And what most women don't know about men, and men don't know that women don't know this, is that a man would consider it shameful to do something in order to not upset somebody. That to him would be a shameful motivation. And so a woman keeps thinking, he just doesn't understand how upset I am, and I just have to make it really clear how upset I am, and I have to get even more upset. And she thinks that that's going to get her what she needs, and instead he just can't do it. It'd be dishonorable. And often what happens is manipulation escalates. It's kind of like, have you ever seen, Dennis, a cow being forced into a chute?
No.
Okay. That's funny. There's my country living. You're basically cutting off any way to say no. right? So you're cutting off the options to say no, so that the only choice is yes. And that's what manipulation is all about. Except for, and I know you know this, Dennis, if a person is not free to say no, they're not free to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We tell this to women all the time. If he can't say no, he can't say yes. And a real yes is what has relationships get satisfying, get even delicious. Are these real yeses? Yes, I'd love to do that for you. Or even something women don't know about men is that to be a husband, right? To be a husband is to be the one who has the job and hopefully gets to consider it a privilege, that he has the privilege of being the person who provides what his wife needs. And I encountered this a couple of years ago because a man told me, he goes, I thought of something I wanted to do for you, and then I realized, no, that's Greg's. That's something he would get to do. And that he recognized that as Greg's territory. No, he's her husband. He gets to provide for those kinds of needs. This is unthinkable to women, by the way, that a man would consider it a privilege to give her what she needs. Which is why...
Really? Why is that?
Oh, my gosh. Because of so many things we don't understand about men, because it's so different than women.
Okay.
Like the first time I found out... Go ahead.
No. That if you want to continue, please do. But that in and of itself is an answer.
Yeah. Yeah, we literally have opposing instincts. And that's why we created the Understanding Women course, which I'm so excited about because we're actually doing something with your listeners we never done before, and that is to allow women to participate in the Understanding Women online course without having done our Understanding Men course. Because if she can start to understand herself and all the things that men don't know about her, she can stop being upset about all the things that men aren't already doing. Like, she can find out he doesn't know to do that. He's not misbehaving. It would never think of him to do that. So...
all right. So wait. Let me just have a scorecard for where we're at. So you have given an example of where the female will manipulate by heightening emotion to finally get him to recognize what she needs. We are now up to how he might manipulate her. Is that correct?
We could go there.
All right, we'll do that. All right, back with Alison Armstrong in a moment. Back with Alison Armstrong. I'm Dennis Prager. This is the Male-Female Hour. Wednesdays, the second hour. Subject is manipulation. You don't get what you need, so you manipulate for it. So first of all, again, I want to review very, very briefly, Alison. Give me two or three examples of common needs that each sex has that are often not fulfilled.
Well, sex, for one. Support, appreciation, admiration, help. That kind of help they want, not the kind of help the other person wants to do. And accountability. Accountability is a big one. For someone to be accountable for, count-onable for providing something, huge. And we don't know how to ask for it. And it's one of the things you can never get through manipulation. People do not become accountable through manipulation. It's one of the big costs.
The list you just gave was a male list, a female list, or both list?
Both.
So there aren't distinctive needs to each sex, in your view?
Yes, there are, definitely. Respect and admiration for men is more predominant. Attention and connection, intimacy for women, right off the top of the...
Right. Okay, so you said, so when basic needs are not met, each sex will then do something. So in the case of the woman, we have increased emotionality with regard to what she's not getting. And in the man, you said it will be, what is it? It's undignified. I'm sorry?
We didn't say it.
You didn't say it. No, you didn't say what manipulation, but you said what might happen. I thought you did. That because he's, feels it's undignified to say what he needs.
Yeah, he has his instincts to conceal. He's not supposed to need anything in the first place.
Right.
And women will usually start with historical justification of why you owe me this before they get emotional. Men will usually start with logic. Why it makes sense that I need this through no fault of my own. I need this. But if that doesn't work, he may get angry. He may bring in historical precedents. He may bring in, can't you see everything I'm providing, everything I'm already doing? I can't do that too. I need somebody else to do it. But it doesn't begin with the need not being met. It begins with discovering we have a need and assuming the other person doesn't want to give it to us. We often go into a manipulative routine without ever having asked first.
Right. Okay.
We never gave them a chance to say yes. We assume they're going to be resistant, and we come in guns loaded, ready to overcome the resistance.
And the way in which he might manipulate is?
Well, it can be, it's like I just said, logic. He might get angry. He might go into a list of why he deserves this. But in my experience, the thing men are most manipulative for is sex, and it's because they need it. And it makes perfect sense to me. Women get really mad, like they think it's a terrible thing for men to do. I don't think it's terrible. That's what people do when you need something from someone and they won't give it to you. But other than that, I see actually men just go for even decades without what they need. They just go without it. If she doesn't want to give it to me, it's dishonorable to do anything to try to get her to give it to me.
So he's less likely to manipulate.
Yeah, he is. I'll get in trouble for saying that, but yeah, he is.
Right. No, I understand that. So
yeah,
so
manipulation comes from a feeling of dependency, and women are more likely to feel dependent than men because our instincts are all based on being the smaller and weaker sex in a physical world. They're ancient.
Yet they claim that after the death of a spouse in a good marriage, men do worse than women.
Yes, absolutely. Because she's his life force recharger. She's the source of his life force. She literally fills him up. He's energized. He's alive. He's awake because of... It's this way that women are a conduit. It's one of the things that men taught me about women, right? How much you get from us. Like literally touching a woman's skin, energy comes off our skin and brings you guys to life. And yeah, men wilt if they don't have a woman as we call them life bringers.
But I totally agree. But you said earlier that women were more dependent.
We fear that we are. We're afraid of it. It's another thing that shocked me in studying men and women since 1991, and that is that men know they need women and they're not trying to not need women. Well, women are trying very hard to not need men for anything.
And the results, you don't have to even comment on this, but I do want to share my view that the results have been calamitous for our society.
Yes, I would agree.
Oh, okay. Well, final segment coming up. If you want to ask a question, 1-8-PRAGER, 776-877-243-7776. There is a a percentage of women who have no bond with a man who, I believe, have become hysterical in our society. And you see it in the political realm in particular. But that's for another hour. This is the Male-Female Hour. I'm Dennis Prager speaking with Alison Armstrong.
As long as the seasons meet too.
All right, everybody, final segment with Alison Armstrong of UnderstandMen.com. What would you like the takeaway to be for people to have better relationships from today's hour?
Oh, boy. One would be by understanding each other better. We'd get a whole lot more what we needed with a whole lot less effort. And second is, what if we just switched up the assumption that the people who care about us will give us what we need if they can without sacrificing themselves? And that we don't want them to sacrifice themselves because everything goes down the toilet then. But that if they can, they will. And what if we had that attitude about the people in our life? They will if they can without sacrificing themselves. And that's the best I can ask for. And that's how you get a real yes, which is amazing. You get a real yes that somebody takes charge of giving you something that you need. They own it. They make a plan.
So a big part of the problem is that people assume that they can't give. They can't give it.
They assume they can't get it. They assume the other person won't want to give it to them. And they do also, oh my gosh, there's a whole other problem, Dennis. If we need something from somebody else and we can't figure out how they would do it, we often won't even ask. We don't give them a chance to figure out how they would do it. We don't let them solve
all right,
the
so
problem.
at the bottom line is you have to make it known. You have to make your need known.
Instead of don't ask, don't tell, do ask, do tell.
Yeah, so it would seem.
May I tell you one other thing?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing I was telling you about people getting to do Understanding Women now without having done another course, that's just for your people. So we made a page. It's understandmen.com/Dennis.html, and it's the only way people can get at it. It's just for yours.
That's really nice.
You're the best people. Yeah.
And by the way, I just want my listeners to know it. Where would people find it at DennisPrager.com? At the homepage.
Alan would tell you.
I was asking Alan.
Oh, okay.
I think you know me so well that I assumed you saw me looking at Alan. Such is my belief in your extraordinary powers. Alison Armstrong, you're wonderful. Thank you.
I love you too.
I love you too. All right, everybody. I hope it helped. This very bright woman. Ray, Bob, Bridget, Mara, and others, I am sorry I didn't get to your calls. And try to make them on Friday at open hour. Stay tuned. We continue.